Thank you for tuning in to the Faceless Podcast. I go by the name of Shepherd. My friends call me Sheps. You can call me anything you want as long as it's not I'm most likely to respond. So before I move on, I want to thank everyone. The last three videos, I've been humbled by the responses that I've been getting. I've been humbled by the feedback, the level of engagement I've been getting. Considering I'm just someone just sharing my opinions on the internet. So I've been humbled by the level of engagement, my close friends, family, even sharing out the videos to their extended network. So I want to thank everyone that's had a part to play in that, and I hope you enjoy this journey with me as hopefully you see my thoughts grow. We start to address some of these points that have been taboo or that have been kind of being misrepresented by one side. The other side of the argument's not really had a chance to shine within the media. I hope everyone's okay. I hope everyone's enjoying this lovely weather. As you can see, I've probably got a little bit darker. I've been trying to enjoy the sun myself. So yeah, let's get into today's topic, or the issue that I wanted to discuss today. So it's dealing with the police. It is an issue that I think is very relevant at the moment, considering everything we're going through. And but I wasn't going to go into it so soon. But there's an event that kind of took place, which made me say, you know what, we need to address this. And so before I kind of go into that event, let's discuss what the common narrative is that I've been hearing, especially in the kind of urban built up areas, as well as council estates and the black community. This is what I've been hearing. So feel free to disagree and tell me that the narrative is different. Put that in the comments below. So the first thing is just the police are racist. Just in general, all police are racist. If they're wearing a badge, they're racist. They're out to get you. And I'm kind of paraphrasing a bit. You might not hear it said in those explicit terms, but it's definitely implied by some of the narrative that's been pushed. The other way around it is, well, if you could start to bring up points as to why maybe you can't paint everyone with the same brush and say the whole police force is racist, because it doesn't make sense. We don't like it when we get called criminals just because we're black or because of our skin tone. So it doesn't make sense to paint everyone with the same brush. So when you bring that argument forward, then you get told the system is racist. So by that, they're saying not all police officers are racist, but they're operating in a system which is inherently racist, meaning that when they apply the law, it is racist towards black people. Or what they'll try to say when you point out the system, and I will go into this in a different video, I think, with regards to defining terms. I will go into and why that's important when you're having these discussions, these dialogues, to ensure that you're getting something out of it that's helpful and that's positive, and it's not just back and forth and bickering. So I'll potentially make another video on that. So put that in the comments if you want me to make a video on that, defining terms. Let me know, and we'll get onto it. So yeah, so they'll say the system is racist. And you get a number of different definitions of what they mean by the system. When you push back with, okay, there's actually no law, or police policies that are discriminatory just towards black people, then it's okay. It's not. Then they go, yeah, there might not be a law, but the people in the system. So it's a lot of there's a lack of consistency there, to say the least, should I say? So that's what you get. And the result of these 2 points is to essentially say, look, if you're black, the police is out to get you. And I'll be blunt. That's what they're trying to say. If you're black, the police is out to get you. You're not safe. If you see the police, they're going to do something to try to ruin your day because you're black. I've been hearing that for many years, from friends, not as much from family members. Again, growing up in a kind of typically conservative Christian family, we've not really heard that. We've always been kind of taught to respect authority. So I've not really heard it from family per se. I do have some family members who would back the narrative of the police are out to get us. But I've heard it a lot. And those of you who've grown up in similar circumstances would agree. This is something that we do hear a lot. So I mean, why has it bothered me? So you're saying, okay, look, Shepherd, so far you've just told us what's been said. Why has it bothered you to the point where you sat down in front of a camera and you want to talk about it? So I'll go to the example that I was talking about. So last week we was playing football, me and a few of my friends, in what we call the Wembley of the council estate. This is where there's so many good footballers that should have made it, who have graced that turf. I myself, we've broken a few records, winning matches on there. And it's kind of similar to the pub that I mentioned last week. This was for the children anyway. Was kind of a community hub. So a lot of my friends that are classed as brothers now. So we're not just friends, we're brothers. That's how we got close, just through playing football every single day after school. We'd meet up, play a match, play football, talk. And it was a big part in keeping us away from the street life, should we say. And even if you know my close friendship circle, there's a difference between those who came before us and those who came after us. We kind of took a natural step, and we're focusing more on just enjoying ourselves, playing football, and trying to better ourselves from a business perspective, instead of maybe joining the gangs, instead of maybe going down that path. Obviously there's some that were doing both, but then the Wembley of the council estate, we'll call it the Wembley Stadium of the council estate, played a big part in bringing people together. So that's where we've gone to play football. To cut a long story short, on the same day, there's another youth in the community who it was his birthday, celebrating his birthday. So they had the barbecue open, and again, what I want to do is commend their behavior through the duration of this barbecue, and I can only commend what I see. Obviously, if it comes out next week that there was crimes being committed, then I do not condone that. But the way in which they conducted themselves, it was very kind of considerate. Ooh, they just wanted to have fun, celebrate their friend's birthday. There was a number of them. I think in total, including us playing football, there's probably about 50 people, if not slightly more or slightly less. And so what's happened is, as this barbecue's unfolding, there's music, there's everything else, we're playing football. We've finished the game now, and the police have been kind of lingering. So they've come, circled the estate, done a patrol, kind of lingering, not really engaged as yet, just kind of moving in and out, lingering. And when we finished our match, that's when the police have come in to make the first kind of interaction with those organizers of the barbecue. And one of my close friends, one of my brothers, I consider him a brother, he said, they're just here because we're black. And have you ever had someone say something to you and then they say it to you, then you get an instant playback in slow motion in your head? This is what happened, because I had not taken the police's presence in the same way. I'd seen it as, okay, this is a council estate which is known for violent behaviour, criminal activity. No, obviously not by everyone, but it doesn't have to be everyone that's committing crime for a certain area to be known or to have a certain reputation. So when they hear, or maybe I'm assuming there's a concerned citizen who's called them to say, look, there's just a bunch of youths congregated, there's music, they don't know what's going on, they possibly put in a call, the police have come to investigate. They could have come in and just try to mess everything up or cause trouble, but they let it go on. And the reason why I said I wanted to commend the organizers of the event is because they carried themselves very well when they were interacting with the police. From what I could see, if they got asked to turn the music down, they'll turn the music down. They for the situation to not escalate to the point where maybe some who think the police are just inherently racist would have thought it would have escalated to. That I'm assuming these youths have kind of presented themselves very well. Just kind of said to the police that, look, we're just here to celebrate our friend's birthday. We're not causing any trouble, and it must have been believable. And from what I could see, that seemed to be the case anyway. But yeah, for my friend to say, they're just here because we're black, considering this is a mixed crowd of all different ethnicities, I'd probably say maybe 50% black, but then other 50% all different ethnicities, white people, maybe some slightly Asian, East, like wherever they were from. I didn't do a census, but then I'd say probably between 50 to mid 50s. I'd say was the split between just whites and blacks. So I was thinking, how can you just make that assertion? So when we start dialoguing now, and because you know me, facts, evidence, that's and consistency, that's kind of how I try to lead my life, especially when it comes to narratives like this. So we started going back and forth, discussing. I'm saying, look, mate, the police would have turned up even if it was 50 white people. Just like, number one, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I don't even think, correct me if I'm wrong, that the lockdown's been eased to the point where we could gather in groups like this anyway. Even though we never planned to be a part of that gathering, but by us being in a similar proximity would have been counted in that. So I'm looking at it as in there's a number of things here which would raised the police's suspicion to come and investigate, and I was pretty confident that none of those were the ethnicities of the people that were there. So for my friend to just say that, and now when we're going back and forth and I'm trying to engage him in an intelligent conversation in terms of, let's talk about statistics, let's talk about kind of the facts, let's talk about why you think the way you think. He said, stop being naive. And one of my other friends, he's a brother to me as well, one of the nicest people you ever meet in your life. But he said, stop being a Samuel Jackson, stop being a house N word was the word that was the term that was used, but we'll keep it family friendly. And for those who don't know what that term means, being a house N word is basically being one of the slaves who were in a house. So instead of being a field N word where you were the slaves that were slaving away working, you were the ones that would pander to your master in order to get better treatment. So and that got me angry. Let me know. That got me angry. I got upset by that statement, because I'm saying, look, I'm trying to approach you with facts, and statistics to better inform you. However, you're just dismissing me and insulting my character. And this is coming from one of my close personal friends where I've known 10, 15 years, if not more. We speak all the time. We grew up basically together. So that got me thinking. That's a dangerous method of thinking. That's a dangerous method of thinking. Dismissing someone when they're trying to come to you with alternative information, which will help your interactions with the police, and saying, well, because you don't believe in the narrative that they're out to get us just because of our skin tone, that for you're pandering to your oppressor, so to speak. I thought that was dangerous because and bear with me a second, and I'll take some time to kind of expand this thought. The people that were telling me this, they themselves do not engage in crime. They themselves have limited exposure with the police. My friend who's calling me naive, I'll be surprised if he's ever broken a law in his life. Upstanding citizen, comes from a good home, very respectful. He, I, I doubt and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. He's not had many interactions with the police, so him thinking like that won't affect him because he won't be the one interacting with the police. However, when he's now saying this narrative to maybe some of these younger kids who are having more engagements with the police, who are maybe committing crime, maybe whether it's petty or major crimes, whatever it might be, for you to tell them that when you engage with the police, they're out to get you because of your skin tone, you're setting up that person's interaction with the police to start on the back foot. Immediately they're going to be tense. Immediately anything that happens, any question that gets asked, it's due to be hostile. And then from then, as human beings, it is hard to de-escalate a situation once it becomes hostile. And I know some of you would say, oh well, that's what the police is there to do, that's what they get trained to do, to de-escalate these situations. But to that I say, why would you bank on someone else doing something when you've got it in your control to control that narrative? Like me personally, I'll talk about my experience with the police. I've had very limited experience with the police, but all of my interactions have been positive. And and that could be my luck in terms of I've only just met the nice ones. Maybe the one nice police officer that comes in different shapes and sizes that I seem to meet. But I also like to say it's because of how I conducted myself. I don't mind being asked questions. What you do, if anything, at worst, it's a slight inconvenience. So, which is why, okay, let me go into the next part, which is why it's dealing with the police. So, I've kind of gone through what the narrative is. I've gone through the example that has kind of caused me to make the video in the first place. I've kind of gone through what the thinking was, and now these are my recommendations. And again, I'm not a lawyer. Do not take this as legal advice. These are just my recommendations based on how I've seen the situation. Do not build a case of defense or interact with the police taking what I say as legal advice. You need to consult a professional if you require legal advice. However, from my experience, from other videos, from other things that I've watched, I've found this way of interacting with the police to be very useful and beneficial for both parties. So the first thing is read your local policing policies. So whether that'll be the PACE Act in the UK, so the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, which is available online. You can find it in a number of places. I'll see if I can put a link to it below. Do read that. Learn your rights. Know what your rights are. Know what the police can and can't do. That act is there to protect you as well as the officers, but it's there to protect you. Get to know that act, so you know when you interact with police what they're within the rights to do and what they're not within the rights to do, what you're within your rights to do, what you're not within your rights to do. That is highly important. It will make such a difference when you're having those interactions. One of the other things is just comply with the requests. If you know you haven't done anything wrong, just comply with the request. If they ask you a question, just answer the question. If it's a question that you don't have to answer, then you don't have to answer it. Again, I'd say seek legal advice first before you start saying, okay, Shepherd told me don't answer this question. But remember what they do say, anything you do or do not say can be and will be used against you in a court of law as evidence. So do think about the questions you do or do not answer. Do you think about how your silence can be interpreted by the court of law? So I would bear those questions, I'll bear those thoughts in mind when interacting with the police. Now, let me go back a little bit. So when I say comply with the request, some of you go, look, Shepherd, so you're telling me if I've done nothing wrong, the police have just stopped me, they want to bother me, they want to upset my day, maybe they don't like the colour of my skin, maybe they don't like the colour of my t-shirt, maybe they don't like the football team that I support. Let me just do everything I say even though I'm in the right. And the answer is yes. And I'm going to explain why. If you comply with the request, the likelihood of it leading to a hostile situation where abuse of power can be utilized in terms of physical abuse of power, if you comply with the request, that goes down dramatically. Now, this is not to say that the police are gods and they should be treated as such, like to where if they say jump 10 times, you should jump 10 times. Again, comply with the request in accordance to that PACE Act. Speaking in the UK, I know in the US as well, in different countries, there's different governing laws for the police. Why do I say comply with the request? Because now you're in control. You're controlling how they perceive you. You're controlling how they move on with that scenario because you're doing what they're saying. You're absolving yourself of any wrongdoing. You're not giving them an excuse to misread or misinterpret anything as an act of violence, an act of aggression, which if it is a bad person that you're speaking to, if it is a bad corrupt police officer, you're not giving them an excuse to act out in a manner which will lead to maybe you getting hurt. That's why I say comply. You can call me whatever name you want with that. And again, another thing, make sure you document if your friends are there or friends are about. Again, this is not legal advice, but as we're living in the age of technology, just record the interaction. Record the interaction. If you're wrong, this could actually, if you're in the right, sorry, this could actually stand to benefit you when or if this court, if this ever gets to a point where you put in a formal complaint. Another recommendation is if you do get mistreated by the police, take down names, take down badge numbers, take down what stations there from, put in a formal complaint. Stop suffering inside. If you get abused by the police and you know you was in the right, put in a complaint. Let's hold these police officers accountable. Then you have people that will be on your side helping you to fight these cases of injustices. Stop getting abused by the police. If you do get abused by the police, and by abused I don't mean, oh, they asked me a question that they didn't like. By that I'm saying an unjustified excessive use of force or breach of your rights. Report it, because what will happen is the more you report it, the more we kick up a fuss about it, the more we hold the police accountable, the easier it is for the good police officers to weed out and kick out the bad police officers, to make the force a lot better and a lot more helpful for everyone. So those are my recommendations when you're dealing with the police, in terms of if you've been stopped, if they want to search you. So read up on your rights, know what they're entitled to do, what they're not entitled to do, what you're entitled to do, what you're not entitled to do, number one. Number two, you control the narrative. So by being polite, by being respectful, by complying with the requests, you massively reduce your chances of getting in harm. And again, we're operating from a prism where I'm assuming the person that's stopped you, let's say they're the worst of characters, in terms of they're just looking for an excuse for them to arrest you. They're just looking for an excuse for them to use excessive force. Because you don't know who the person you're meeting, you don't know what they're gonna be like. I would suggest that you always err on the side of caution. So I would assume everyone I'm meeting now, you don't know what kind of day they're gonna have. So let me be respectful. Let me read up on my rights, what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do. Let me be polite. Let me comply with the requests, and this will be over very soon. If you go down to the station, and read up on this as well. If you get wrongfully arrested, you can sue the police. If you get wrongfully arrested, wrongfully detained, wrongfully charged, you can sue the police. Again, I'm not a lawyer. Read up on this. Correct me if I'm wrong. So to me personally, when I'm looking at it, me being hurt, even if that's a punch to my face, even if that's a headlock that could give me, or whatever the police might do, if I do meet this bad person, me being hurt because I want to be stubborn, and because I want to believe, because I'm in the right, I've got the right to do whatever I want, or me being slightly inconvenienced by not actually being guilty for anything, getting arrested, getting taken down to the station, and then getting released, and then putting in a complaint. When I weigh them up, I'll rather this situation where I'm inconvenienced over this situation where I could potentially be hurt, and in some situations, as we've seen abroad, it's been fatal. So that's what I want to recommend to all the young children, even the adults, in your interactions with police. Please do everything you can in your power to ensure that you're allowing this situation as it ensues to go as smoothly as possible, regardless whether you're in the right or you're in the wrong. And that's not me absolving police officers of that responsibility. They do have a job, they do have a duty, they did take an oath, so it is on them as well to de-escalate. They get trained for this stuff. So I'm not saying that you tell them how to do the jobs or anything. I'm not absolving them of any responsibility. I do think we need to hold them to an extremely high standard, which is why I suggested when you do face an injustice, do report it in, do write a formal complaint, get legal advice to make sure it's done properly. Then it could be logged, it could be counted, and what we could do is, if these things are not being looked at, then we could start to apply the pressure. Look, you mistreated Mr. John Doe here. Everything's logged, everything's recorded, you've got the evidence, you've not taken any action. Let's hold them accountable. It goes to what I was speaking earlier about being involved as a community in the local community. So I mean, that's kind of my thoughts there. And to finish up, let's hold yourself accountable for your behavior. Hold yourself. That goes for the police officers that might be listening to this. That goes for my friends, family, anyone else that might be listening to this. Hold yourself accountable for your behavior. Do not bank on someone else behaving in an exceptional manner, in terms of like in a manner which would make sure the situation goes smooth and not hold yourself to that standard as well? Do you not expect the police to be professional and treat you well and not hold yourself to that standard as well? Remember, these are human beings, regardless of what you might think about them. They're not perfect. Of course they're not, but neither am I. Neither are you. Mistakes happen. Bad people exist in the world. So the reason I'm making this video is not to defend the police. It's not to even make a case for them. It's to try and get through and start debunking this narrative to say just police are out to get you, police are out to kill you. Okay, if we're operating on the premises that is the case, and I'll potentially make another video at a later date with stats and figures, if we're operating off the narrative that the police are racist, they are out to get you, they do want to just ruin your day for no reason, what can you do now for those interactions to make sure you stay as safe as possible? Obviously, there's things we could do on a larger scale in terms of affecting change, but then what can you do on that single interaction to make sure you affect your situation and you stay safe? That's what this video is about. Let me know your thoughts. Was I talking utter nonsense? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much for listening to the Faceless Podcast. Again, my name is Shepherd. My friends call me Sheps. You can call me whatever you want. As long as it's not I'm most likely to respond. Have a good day. Enjoy the weather, guys. I'll see you soon.